Trying to do stuff can be hard because it doesn't always work out. Well, I'm interested in anyone trying to make themselves or the world a better place. So join me, Chris Wright, as we explore people just simply trying to do interesting stuff. And hey, hopefully the next time you try to do something, it's a little more likely to happen. All right, now it's time to try the podcast. Yeah, that works.
All right. How is everybody doing? I'm excited to be recording again. I feel like it's been at least a month. December got very busy at work. And so I have half of 17 different episodes done, but have only released 7. And this one, what I'd like to talk about today is just sort of a check-in on where we're at. I'll talk about some of the statistics, some of the feedback that I've gotten, but ultimately, I want you to hear from my friend Mike. And my friend Mike, listens to podcasts all the way to and from work. He'll put them on in the background while he's at work. He has a job where he can kind of sit in silence working and just listening. And so it was really interesting to talk to him about what he looks for in a podcast and what makes a great podcast. Because to be honest, I enjoy talking. I think that it's fun to do voiceover work. I like to crack jokes, but I don't have a lot of free time in my life to listen to podcasts, so I have to be pretty selective. I just started season 3 of Serial. And if you haven't checked out Serial, you really should. I mean, the first season was kind of a game changer. It's probably, I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's the most successful podcast to date based on overall listenership. I mean, Saturday Night Live spoofed it. It was very well done. I didn't listen to season 2. I had a handful of people tell me it wasn't quite as good. And I think I had a third kid and just didn't get around to it. And now season 3 is really fascinating. What I love about Serial is it's very well produced. And so it holds your attention really well. It's this great balance of hearing recordings in real time and then going back to the narrator. And there's a lot more music too. There's kind of like some underlying ambiance that they're doing. So I'll try to weave in more of that, I think, in the future. Sounds like a lot of fun. So this episode, let's just do a check-in on where we're at. I have some analytics, and it's been really interesting following the analytics of the podcast. So to date, 154 unique listens or downloads, which really isn't bad. I haven't actively tried to promote this much yet. I want to ensure that all the plumbing is set up, and I'll probably wait until there's somewhere 10 to 12 episodes out there before I kind of tell everybody that I know, hey, I'm doing this. It's been tricky to find the time to do it, but the feedback has been overall pretty strong. Even my friend and colleague Sarah this morning was, I say pinging, but it's instant chatting with me through Google Hangouts. And she's like, hey, I caught an error in your, how to do an intro outro episode where you have the wrong clip of Dennis Leary in there. I was like, yeah, I know. We haven't been able to fix that yet. So it's just kind of interesting that at any given moment, somebody is listening to this content. I hope that they're finding it somewhat valuable and useful. And that's just a shameless plug to remember to share, specific episodes with friends that might benefit from them. And also, Julius really wants you to rate us wherever you rate podcasts on iTunes or wherever. Like putting the star thing up there seems to matter a lot. So for my analytics, I'm looking at Libsyn. That's libsyn.com. And they do a good job of syndicating podcasts out across all the different places where you'd want to show up. So as I look at the statistics today, the most popular one to date was Gopal, and his was Try Making a Map. So that comes in at 25 total listens as of December 23rd. And then the next most popular one, which kind of blows my mind, it was me recording my 4 and 7-year-old. I had people who have 4 and 7-year-olds that listen to the whole thing. I couldn't even listen to the whole thing again. I'm like, this is my life. This is every day. But I want to record them mostly for myself. 2 years from now, they're going to think it's funny and I'll re-record it. So it was more for me than anyone else. It just cracks me up that 21 people listened to it. I haven't checked yet to see how far they made it through. I mean, it's like 40 minutes of a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old being just borderline, completely silly. It's very random. So yeah, Try Making a Map did really well. The 4 and 7-year-old one, that one just came out a week ago. So I think that's probably why it got so many listens. And then tied for third place is Try Immigrating from Armenia. That was an interview with a Lyft driver in Los Angeles, as well as my first episode. Try your first episode. And if you recall, my first 4 episodes, I ended up re-recording. The sound quality wasn't that great. I hadn't met Julius yet, the sound engineer. He gave me a bunch of tips and politely told me that everything I was doing was wrong. So anyway, I almost passed on doing an episode this week because here we are. It's the Sunday before Christmas Eve. It's December 23rd. But miraculously, and as if there was a Christmas miracle in my house, my wife and the 4-year-old are out at a show. 7-year-old fell asleep on the couch, which is very rare for him. And then I got the baby, the 2-year-old, down for a nap. So at this moment, I'm completely alone in the study with 2 sleeping children. It's a beautiful thing. So let's knock this episode out. And hopefully, if you're, I'm not going to say bored, there's no boredom in my life. If you've happened to stumble upon boredom over the holiday week, hopefully you can put this on. And I would really welcome your thoughts. What makes a good podcast? Please let me know what's missing. What keeps you coming back? For me, part of the reason I didn't get too into podcasts earlier on is I felt that the conversation was just too slow. I'm waiting. And then there are apps where you can listen to people in double time. And that's a little bit tricky too, because it's just not a natural vocal cadence. So I'm a bit of a fast talker. And it could be that you don't like that, or maybe you do. So without further ado, let's see, what else were we going to talk about? Julius, as well as Mike, as well as everyone I talked to, they spoke about the importance of releasing an episode at a particular day of the week. And I guess Serial, I think, comes out on Thursdays. I can't remember. But Mike has, 5 or 6 that he's really passionate about. And he knows when the next episode is going to come out. It's something to look forward to. So for Try the Podcast, we are absolutely going to release new content on Monday. And it's probably going to be Monday morning. And here's the reason. Once you have kids, your weekend completely changes. You lose all control of the weekend. It used to be, you'd sleep in, wake up a little bit late, ride a mountain bike, see what movies are playing. Well, now I'm dealing with children from sometimes 4 a.m. On a really good day, it's 6 a.m. all the way until 8 p.m. at night with absolutely no break in between. Now, granted, I'll sneak off to the gym. So will my wife. One of us might run to the store. But those are very sort of tactical, those are things that keep the household running or keep us somewhat sane. And that's what life is like when you have a small family. I mean, yes, you could babysitter every weekend out, but that gets expensive. And you want to spend time with your kids. You want to take them to these activities and to go do stuff. So, using today as an example, my wife and I went to a spin class, and then the 3 kids were there at the daycare at the gym. And then we just kept playing after that. And now the 4-year-old and my wife went off to a play for kids. It's kind of like Cirque du Soleil, but for kids. That sounded like fun. And I'm on duty with the other 2, the 7 and the 2-year-old. And that's really, this is really my only alone time when they miraculously nap, which hasn't happened in the last 6 months. So great. We're going to knock out this episode. So why did I choose Mondays? Weekends, as I just talked about, are pretty nuts. It's definitely not downtime. It's not relaxing. You're sort of waiting for like that moment when you can relax or just be contemplative or creative. And for me, it's Monday morning. Daycare opens at 6:30 in the morning. I typically have the kids there between 6:30 and 7, because sometimes there's a workout class we do at 7. And at that exact moment, right when every single kid is being taken care of and they're either at a school or a daycare, that's alone time for me. And I haven't had alone time for the previous 3 days. And so I'm super creative. And sometimes I don't even log into my work email for the first 2 hours on Monday. I just do whatever I want. I get caught up. Maybe it's something creative like writing. Maybe it's recording. I'm just my most creative self when all of a sudden, okay, great. Everybody's taken care of. The week can now start. So we're going to release content on Monday. And what's really fascinating is that one of my favorite punk rock bands also love Monday for the exact same reason. If you're in a band, presumably you're going to play a lot of shows on Fridays and Saturdays, maybe Sundays. But anyway, Monday for a rock and roll show, not all that common. And so NOFX, the punk rock band, wrote a song that's totally dedicated to Mondays. So first I'm going to read the lyrics because it's a little difficult to understand them. And then we'll listen to the first verse. I think you'll get a kick out of it. All right. So I'll just read this kind of quickly. Every NOFX song is like between 1 minute, 30 seconds to like 3 minutes long. Punk rock songs are very, very short. And then NOFX, because they're NOFX and they kind of wrote the book on some of this stuff, they came out with a really long punk rock song. I think it's, you guys are going to get mad because it's somewhere between 17 and like 30 minutes long. It's called The Decline. And the whole album was just one song. Anyway, I digress. Let me read you. Here are the lyrics for NOFX's song that's called Thank God It's Monday. It starts. Monday is my favorite time of year. I'm going to tell you what I really like about Mondays, because they feel like Saturdays. When you don't got to go to work, every day is a holiday. I wake up when I want to. I do anything I want to do. Can't wait for Tuesday. I really never liked Fridays. I can't do what I want to do. Sold out at the movies, can't eat at the restaurants. Everybody want a good time, but the bar's full of cigarette smoke. I think I'll stay home. I think I'll wait for Monday. I live a 5-day weekend. I got a year-long holiday. Thank God it's Monday. The only place that I gotta be is at the show or on the first tee. Thank God for irony. Never mind the aggravation, modulation. Give me another key. I'll tell you why I like Tuesdays, because they're kind of like Christmas. Come to think about Wednesdays, they're a little like Hanukkah. Thursday's Thanksgiving. I'm talking about good living. I think I'll give thanks. Thank God it's Monday. Thank God it's Monday. And on and on and on. Just saying thank God it's Monday. So here, I'll let you listen to the first verse now.
Monday is my favorite time of year.
I'm gonna tell you what I really think I like about Mondays. Gonna feel like Saturdays when you don't gotta go to work. Every day is a holiday. I wake up when I want to. I do anything I wanna do. Can't wait for Tuesday.
All right. It pains me to not have you listen to that full song because it's so good, but you can go to YouTube. I'll link off to it in the show notes, and you can go and kind of, I'll try to link to one where it shows the lyrics so that you can follow along. It's just a really cool song. So that takes us to this interview with Mike, my friend Mike. I've known him for about 4 years, and I think I have an intro with him as part of the interview. But this was a couple of weeks ago. We went to Google on the weekend just to allow our kids to play. You know, they have some video games there. There's just a lot of running around, and there's just stuff that they can do, foosball table, etc. So it's pretty noisy in the background. I'm sitting there trying to interview Mike about what he likes and doesn't like about podcasts, and 4 young children are throwing foosballs at one another and billiard balls, and you just are going to hear them screaming in the background. So hopefully that's part of the ambiance, I guess. You don't really have a choice. Well, you can stop listening now. There's your warning. So here we go. Let's kick it off with my good friend Mike.
So my buddy Mike, he and I, how long have I known you, Mike? 4, maybe 5, 4 years.
4 years probably?
Our kids go to daycare together. He has 2, I have 2. So his son is the same age as my son within like 5 days, and then his daughter's the same age as my son. So it's kind of a good pair. We can come here and everybody feels like they have a friend. In the Google Boulder office, poor Mike, I was telling him just how spoiled we are, because it's, well, typically a Google office, you have to retrofit, right? Like if you're in Manhattan, you're not building from the ground up.
Right.
This office they built from the ground up. So, dug a big hole, designed it, and there's just some weird little quirks that are just kind of fun. So the room that I just showed Mike, it's like in a corner, and it was designed to be like, whoops, what's the show? No, the movie. Lord of the Rings. So the door looks like a Hobbit door. You open it, there's the chair, and there's like a map of Middle-earth. So anyway, just so we know, we're sitting in what we call a micro kitchen. There's a bunch of snacks in here, and there's a foosball table. So the 4 kids are going back and forth between foosball and a pool table. Foosball? I just lost the 4-year-old again.
Okay, so how far are we into it with Mike? And my 4-year-old decided to go running off to the rock climbing wall at the Google office in Boulder, which is fine. Actually not. It's against policy. He's not supposed to do it, and he's supposed to ask first. So we dealt with that for 5 minutes. Let's check back in with how things are going once we found my 4-year-old.
Whereas this one would be, try to explain why podcasts are cool. Because I've only listened to Serial and then a couple of industry-specific ones where someone will tell me, okay, listen to that. But it's not a part of my, day-to-day.
Yeah, so I listen to a lot of, true crime podcasts. So it started with Serial, and then there was...
How many true crime podcasts are there?
Ton. So I just listened to another one that, New Hampshire Public Radio did called Bear Brook. And so there's, these... bodies found in a barrel in a national or in one of their parks, and then
what was it? Oh, you told me about this.
Identifying they couldn't identify the bodies. They didn't know who they were.
How many bodies were there?
There were 3 in that barrel, and then I don't know, 5 years later they found another barrel with 2 more bodies in it, and they couldn't identify them. But they used genetic. Genealogy to to identify 23andMe, those started doing that.
No way.
But so there's that, and there's a ton, a lot of people do wrongful conviction podcasts. So there's people that are reinvestigating these cases of people that are saying they're wrongfully convicted, and digging through the case and actually finding
which is Serial, the first,
and then trying to help them. But they're actually digging into it, actually trying to help them, working with innocence projects and trying to get them exonerated.
Yeah.
Which is Serial just was kind of just talking about a story. They weren't actually trying to help.
Until now they are, though. I've read that Adnan's site.
Well, so there's a whole nother like podcast that his friend that got Serial going, like kind of talked with him.
Oh, no way.
So she has a podcast where they're actually investigated the whole thing. So it's like a year's worth of episodes where they're working through the appeals and working with his lawyers to help, like digging through all the case files.
Well, and that's just like the Steve Avery story from Netflix. What was that? Making a Murderer.
So there's quite a few of them. So it's pretty interesting.
That sounds really
terrifying how screwed up the justice system is,
and how difficult it is to reverse.
I've heard just like so there's one I listened to. This guy, he was tried for the same crime 9 times.
Okay.
He was convicted, and he got it overturned. And then they tried him again, convicted him, he got it overturned again. And now he's on his ninth appeal right now. He's on like death row in Alabama or something.
It's on death row. Oh my gosh. You know a show that you would really like if you haven't seen it? It's a movie, Spike Lee's recent movie. It's called Black Klansman.
I haven't seen it. I want to see it.
It's really good, Mike. It is really good. Because I feel like what Spike Lee is trying to do is, let's imagine that you're super like a black power person in the 70s, and you just hate white people, you can't figure them out. And then you're KKK, where you're scared and terrified of black people and Jewish people. And I think that he tried to equally represent both sides accurately. Like, here's why. Because the KKK guys, they're just like, we're a superior race. It's been proven in our blood by doctors.
Right.
And so we're in the right, and we love God and Jesus, and African Americans can't help themselves, basically, from being the way that they are. They're like, it's genetic. We're Armenian, and therefore we have something magic. I don't know. But it's like, it's really well done, and it takes place in Colorado Springs.
Yeah. So that makes it a little bit cooler.
Oh, for sure. So, tell me about how many podcasts do you listen to a day? Do you stick with the same one or subscribe? Because with this one, I don't know if I save up 6 and I'm like, here's 6 new ones.
Usually, most of them they'll drop 1 or 2 episodes a week. So I know, for instance, like Serial just did their 3rd season.
Yeah.
Now they drop every Thursday. So I know Thursday driving to work, I'm listening to Serial.
How important do you think that is for me? Like, do you think people would think it's fun if it's like, hey, here's 5 more? Or do they like
I feel like I like it better when they drop 1 week.
Yeah.
Because then I can have like a routine of what I'm listening to, where there's another one I listen to and they dropped them all at once. And it may take me months to go through those.
So you jump around. If you're excited about Serial, you won't just listen to Serial. You will.
So the first one came out, I listened to it, and then so it comes out week by week, so I'll listen to it every week. And then, then Friday, I have another show that comes out, so then I'll listen to that on Fridays, and then...
Okay, so that makes sense to me. So, like, Saturday Night Live is that for me. I know when Saturday Night Live comes out, I get excited.
So it's almost like they're trying to, like a TV show. You had your TV show was Thursday nights, and you were going to watch it before DVR.
Sure. So that's
no matter what you were doing, you were watching that show.
So that's like the user behavior.
Yeah.
component.
So I think that's kind of because there's some where I'll just get far behind on them if they just kind of drop them.
Sure. And Julius wants to do that. Julius is the sound engineer. I reference him all the time because he has all these rules for me. Like I'm not allowed to buy a better microphone until my 50th episode. he told me I wasn't supposed to start interviewing people till my 10th episode because then I would be comfortable enough with this. Because he didn't want me to mess up the interview, I guess.
Right.
Okay, let's take another little break here. Mike's 4-year-old walked up and needed to go to the bathroom, so she was taking him off to the restroom. So we did another little pause, and then we found our way up to the video arcade where we had a couple of pinball machines and some video games. And so from here on out, I think the audio quality will be a bit better because the video games are somehow more quiet than foosballs and billiard balls being thrown at one another. So let's check back in with Mike. I guess this is part 3.
I thought for a while to not identify myself, but he's like, if you've been at Google for 15 years, people need to know that because they're going to be interested. And some of the
It's always better, at least on a podcast, it's always one of the things cool is learning about, the host.
Right.
And I guess maybe have that connection more with them if you know a little bit more about them.
That's why he wanted me to re-record them, is because the sound quality wasn't that great. And so he's like, sure, it's fine, but if you want to sound like Joe Rogan, it's like inside your head. You're hearing every little nuanced detail. So it's kind of fun. What I'm not so good at right now is where to position the microphone for two people. Because here we are as two people. Now, ideally, you'd be wearing a lapel mic, and so would I. And then Julius could do both of our audios separately. So we'll get to that, I guess, that level.
Maybe after your 50 episodes.
Yeah. But I don't want to walk around all day with all that gear on me. Like, I don't know. So what's your favorite podcast you've listened to date?
It's a tough one. I think In the Dark, it's another true crime. It's really good.
In the Dark?
Yeah. I think they've done two seasons, maybe 3 seasons. So it's another like wrongful conviction type story.
So it's multiple episodes about a single case? Or?
Yeah, so they'll pick a case, and then they'll research it for a year or so. And they'll do
a whole
10 to 20 episodes on it. So we're going through it, and then, usually they'll find out something that happened in the case that could help.
Oh, I see. So then
they work with, whatever Innocence Project is in that area.
Okay, gotcha. It's funny. When I was in New York the other week, I got to see Serena Williams speak because my ex-manager was winning this award. It's called the Brand Genius of the Year from that March Madness campaign that we did. So she won this award. As an awarded recipient, she gets at one table at the gala, super fancy. Everybody's in a suit. It's this building in New York that's right across from the Bull, the Wall Street Bull. I can't remember the name. Anybody in New York's going to know exactly what I'm talking about. But Serena Williams was a recipient of this, not really that award. She was kind of like the keynote speaker. But it was so interesting hearing from her because they had all this footage of her as a little kid and as a girl. And when she was their age, she didn't have like a natural athletic gift at all. She didn't look like big and muscular and different. She just looked like a little kid. And she's like, I grew up in Compton. When I was 3 years old, I said, I will win the U.S. Open. That's it. And from that point on, that's all that she wanted to do.
That was her main focus. Can we go bathroom? Okay. Which way is the bathroom?
Okay, so here we are at the end of part 3. There's another bathroom break. This is on the 4th floor of the office, not the 1st floor. Lots of bathroom breaks with 4 children. But that's fine. That's all part of it. So we do have a final segment with Mike. I think this one goes for about 10 or 11 minutes. And half of it is going to be about podcasts, more of Mike's thoughts around what makes them great and what his, own listening behavior is like. And then we're going to shift to this business idea that Mike and I had, and we'll do a whole nother episode on it. But I kind of went back and forth on whether or not to include it. I'm going to include it just because why not? It was part of one conversation that we were having. So without further ado, here is part 4.
Any final words of wisdom about podcasts, Mike? I've started subscribing to them, but then I don't listen to them because I feel like my life is just crazy. I have to integrate it into my life the way that you have.
Yeah, you just gotta I just have the routines I have, that 45-minute drive to work, so.
Yeah, that's a good call.
It's easy for me. That and then doing dishes every night.
I think he went to look for water. You can look for him if you want.
Where is
He went that way.
Move!
Right around the corner.
What is this?
Go peek.
Go left. Peek left.
What's left? Where's the street? I'm on the street. I've been on the street the whole time.
See if you can find it. He knows where the water fountain is, so I think that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
Well, there's an account that I can create for my car, apparently, the Tesla, where then the podcast will be in the car. And that's going to make it a lot easier for me to listen on the way in. You know what I mean?
So is the car connected to your Wi-Fi?
It comes with a satellite account, like an LTE.
Really?
It's 3G.
Oh. Okay, so it'll just download the podcast?
Well, and also it's Wi-Fi enabled, so when I'm parked in my garage, I don't know if it's downloading. But yeah, that's an interesting question. Is it downloading all the episodes while I'm on Wi-Fi while the car's parked in the garage? It should be. That'd be a smart thing to do.
And that's what I do with my phone. I'll have them download. It downloads everything on Wi-Fi, and so it doesn't use my data when I'm off Wi-Fi.
For sure.
You got it?
They still seem so hyper, though. Why are they running around so much?
Because they just had Gatorade and
orange juice.
And how many slices of mango?
I'm like, it's pinball. Just stand there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Why don't you play Pac-Man?
Too funny. So anyway,
Well, let's see. I'm trying to think of like my podcast routine. So I have the true crime, and then I have the WTF podcast with Mark Maron. I listen to some Rogan.
you do Rogan? What do you like about Rogan? He seems to be the most followed. Is it the celebrities that come on?
Yeah, and it's just I like those conversations with these different celebrities and stuff that I don't know. You can kind of see them as real people.
Yeah. That makes sense.
The problem with Rogan is they're like 3 hours.
That's a long time.
Where it's hard to get. I mean, it'll take me 4 days to get through one podcast.
That's my thing with a lot of them is they don't hold my interest because people talk so slow, and I'm like, speed up the conversation.
So you know what you can do? Listen to it sped up, so you can set your podcast and run it at 1.5 or 2 times.
And it doesn't mess with the voice too much.
I think it does a little bit, but some people that's the only way they listen to podcasts are them at 1.5.
See, I'm a pretty fast talker, so if you speed me up, it might be kind of interesting. Anyway, I wanted to tell people about the beer in the box stuff, but do you have any other final podcast notes?
I mean, besides, listen to a lot of fantasy football podcasts too. So besides those, the Rogan, WTF, True Crime, and then like Planet Money. Have you listened to that?
No. Is that like financial advice?
Yeah, so it's like NPR. They're they'll just do different kind of financial. Like the one I just listened to was, the new acting AG. They're saying he's part of this, or he was on the board of this patent company that ripped off a bunch of people, and they were shut down for fraud.
Interesting.
So they talked about that and kind of the stories of a couple people that used their services and then were ripped off.
Oh, wow.
How it worked and how they did it.
Which one was that on? Which podcast?
So that was Planet Money. That was
okay.
It dropped this week. So that's a pretty good one. I mean, that one will be, it's like 30, 35, maybe 40 minutes. So
how many people do you think listen to Joe Rogan? I bet I could find that out.
Yeah, I mean, he's usually like top 5 listened to podcasts. Right. What's surprising, millions of people listen to him.
That's insane. It's crazy.
And then like WTF, both of those are really highly listened to.
Yeah, WTF, that's a really good brand for a podcast.
Yeah. He's got a pretty cool shirt and logo.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to get a cool logo and shirt.
I'll show you my logo. My logo it kind of looks hand drawn, which is deliberate. We'll have to see. I'll get a bunch of stickers made so people can leave them around, not like graffiti around town, but I don't know, just to get it out, get the brand out there a little bit. That's actually a good idea. I'll give the stickers away for free. Then I just have to pay for postage. And essentially it's just a sunk marketing cost. I think I might actually have to monetize though before I do something like that. Otherwise I'm just spending my family's money in order to talk into a microphone and entertain myself.
Alrighty, so we're going to pause there for a second. Hopefully you enjoyed hearing from Mike, learned a little something about, podcast listening behavior, and maybe you discovered some new podcasts that you're going to check out. I know that I certainly have, and he turned me on to Serial, season 3, which I'm now a couple of episodes into, and they do a phenomenal job. So I sort of went back and forth on whether or not to include this next section. It's not very long, but it kind of strays away from the content at hand, which is around trying to make an amazing podcast. And it's more into a business idea that Mike and I had. It's essentially a beer advent calendar box. Imagine a 24 pack of beer, like just a box, and then every day you poke your hand through a hole and surprise, surprise, you pull out a beer. The product has existed. It was just really expensive. And so Mike and I, Mike's a mechanical engineer. I'm more the marketing guy. We were standing at our kids' soccer game one day and thought that maybe we could do it better. So here Mike and I are talking about that idea. The product hasn't launched yet. We have a website. That's about it. So just, this will be a teaser for an episode in the future. So much more to come on this subject. But here's our final 5 or 6 minutes with Mike. Enjoy.
So I'm trying to think of the story of beer in a box. How did that all start?
Well, I think it started... I think we were talking about the advent calendars that we got last year.
Was that the first year you'd heard of the idea? Was last year?
Yeah, I think it was last year when Ann stumbled upon him at Atlas.
Yeah. And a couple of us.
I'd never seen anything like that before.
And a couple of us did it, right?
Yeah.
And basically, yeah, I was like, well, this is fun, but it was really expensive.
I think, yeah, because we started like, oh, we talked about doing it again and getting like a group of friends together and all of us buying, 24 beers, and then we all exchanged them.
Yes.
And then we looked at buying the boxes, and they were $26 a box. Right. And I was just like, that seems crazy for a cardboard box.
That's right. That's how it started. We were at a soccer game, and you said it's literally just cardboard, and it was basically you and I for 10 minutes going, if this is cardboard, how is this expensive?
Exactly.
And then Mike tracked down a couple custom cardboard manufacturers. And basically, I mean, long story short, you pay a fair amount of money for this tool, right?
Yeah.
What's he saying? It's $2,000, right?
Is it $2,500, something like that?
Yeah. Here comes security. Let's see if security yells at us. A bunch of kids playing pinball. Hi there. How are you?
Hi.
Good. We're just entertaining the kids, yeah.
We had a bit of that today.
Yeah, it seems like there's a couple people here. It's so fun for them. They think I work at Disneyland.
Oh yeah, they're firmly convinced.
Yeah.
Like, this is what you do all day.
Pretty cool place.
Yeah, you don't sit at your desk ever and work. You just play pinball. No.
You play pinball, you play
Yeah, exercise, play on the climbing.
coffee.
Yeah, then I drink coffee. That's right.
Yeah, go get your espresso, your smoothie, play some video games.
Or beer, because we have a bar here too. Yeah, that makes sense.
And maybe have a meeting in between.
Yeah, have a meeting where you just talk about big ideas. Wish people knew just how little I used any of this fun stuff. I'm just like running around like crazy. So explain how the tool works, Mike. Is it...
So it's pretty much just like a metal die, I think. They'll put in a sheet of cardboard, and it'll come in and just punch out the outer shape of the box, and then also the perforations.
Right. Because essentially, we didn't really describe the idea, but if it's a beer advent calendar, you would open up December 1st, you punch through a hole, you see a surprise beer. That's at its core what it is. But then as I've been thinking about it more, I'm like, advent calendar is only good for the month of December. We need a business that can run all the time. And so essentially, it'll be a custom 24-pack, 6-pack, maybe a 12-pack. I don't know. Do you think you need a 12-pack?
I'm going to start with 24 and 6.
6.
Yeah.
Then I want to go to wine. I think a wine
3-pack would be good.
A wine 3-pack and a 6-pack. Because then you could write down, open this bottle of wine for your next promotion, put this one, on the birth of your kid or something like that. It'd be kind of fun. So now I'm thinking through use cases and stuff. I don't know how quickly we'll be able to launch that. The cardboard guys move pretty slow. Because they were supposed to send me some sort of a design element where I could put all the logos on the box. So really
we need like a die line. So they'll have a die line drawing. That's pretty much it. It'll be the box and all the dimensions. Pretty much they'll use that die line to make the tool.
Yeah.
But then, I think that's what we'd want. You want to get that die line drawing, and then you can put on, this would be the front side, this is the back side, and then draw on, what. If we want to do like a step-by-step instruction how to fold it, you can show it. Whatever, or where the logos are, and the other branding, and
I've already drawn all this out by hand, but it's not done yet. I guess. Right. I don't know. Did I give you the box when I had handwritten the brand on and stuff, or did I give it to you?
The first one, right? That's the first box. I have one where I think you drew some stuff on it.
Okay, yeah. The one right now, I had fun with it. Like on the on the bottom of it, it says, keep this side down. Just kind of a fun thing. But I need to make sure that's what I have to look at, because we only want to print on one side of it, right, Mike?
Well, I think it depends if we want to do like the folding instructions. Those would have to be on the inside.
What was it was like
I don't remember. I asked the question. I don't know if he ever got back to us.
I don't know if he did. What's the cost?
Yeah.
Because then a human being has to put it in, flip it over for printing. So it adds a little bit of time, right?
Right. So instead of just running everything through and just stacking them on the other side, now you have to run it through, and then you have to do it a second time upside down. So, yeah. You still need to get barcodes too. There's SKUs and barcode.
What's the benefit of a barcode?
We'll need that for Amazon.
Oh, for Amazon, they'll want it?
So for Amazon, you have to have a SKU number and then a barcode so they can scan them in and out of their system.
Okay, that's cool. Oh, what's your background? We didn't talk about what your background is.
Mechanical engineer.
You have a master's degree in it.
I do.
And for work, you build palletizers.
We design, end-of-line packaging systems, so robotics and other types of machines to stick products on a pallet.
So you know how to build robots?
We buy the robots, but systems that use robots.
Cool.
All right, we've reached the end. I guess to wrap things up, and I find it very interesting to speak with people and to hear from people who really enjoy podcasts and listen to a lot of them. And that's because I'm not one of those people. So, if you want to shoot me a note, chris@trythepodcast.com, let me know, what's working, what's not working, what makes a podcast great. What content would you be excited to share with friends, across this subject of people trying to do things? I just welcome any and all feedback. So with that in mind, I hope that it wasn't too distracting listening to our kids throw billiard balls at one another for about 3 to 4 hours. And hopefully that's useful. Please have a great, safe holiday. Enjoy some downtime. Enjoy time with friends and family. And I will see you in the new year. All right, take care.
Thanks so much for your time today. I genuinely appreciate it and hope today's episode was valuable. Also, Julius would like me to remind you to rate our podcast on iTunes, leave comments on the website, and share your favorite episodes with a friend. And if you'd like to learn more, just visit trythepodcast.com, or you can shoot me a note by looking for the Contact Us section on the website. Life's pretty awesome. You just gotta try. I'll see you next time.